Demons. They're everywhere in fiction, whether or not it's your favorite horror movie or one of the many anime that heavily embrace the demon trope. And often, probably because of the spiritual and religious context in which we're introduced to demons, their morals run opposed to what we consider good. But what if they didn't have to be evil? What if they were still a monster that the hero had to face, but there wasn't this implied morality? How might that influence the story, and what can it teach us about media literacy? Welcome to my channel. My name is Michael, and today we're talking about when the monsters can talk. Frieren excels in its world building, especially with the demons. They're deceiving and cunning creatures obsessed with magic. They feed on humans, so naturally humans are pitted against them. The demons aren't a religious figure as they're often portrayed as in other media, but instead just another animal walking around the planet like the rest of living creatures. Every living creature on Earth is born with this primal urge to self-preserve, at least to the point of reproduction. It's a deep-rooted instinct that allows your species to continue on. We'll come back to this later. There are many different studies done with animals to measure cognitive ability. For example, the mirror test is an animal capable of recognizing itself as an object in a mirror rather than another animal. It showcases self-awareness. Based on current research, only a handful of animals have ever passed this test so far. When these cognitive studies expand to the animal's ability to understand and communicate in human language, there have been a couple major barriers, like the ability to ask questions. Demons in Frieren are capable of understanding speech to even a higher degree. When Frieren was still traveling with the hero's party, they encounter a demon child who ate a child from the village they were traveling through. Himmel steps up to cut it down, but the demon says, "It hurts, Mom." Those words cause Himmel to hesitate. The village chief then steps in and says if we kill it here, we'd be no better than the demons. The chief wants to give the child a second chance to be raised by humans, and maybe if given proper care it can be peaceful. Frieren tells Himmel he'll regret not killing the demon here, to which he replies, "Frieren, we're capable of speech with each other." At first it seems to go well. The demon does live peacefully with the humans in the village, but suddenly one night, the demon lights the village chief's house on fire, kills him, and walks away with his unconscious daughter outside. The villagers standing around are horrified. The mother of the daughter the demon ate says, "We should have killed it back then." The demon girl says every day she's felt her desire to kill her. She just wants to live in peace, so she brought her a replacement daughter for the one she ate. When Himmel tells her that's the village chief's daughter, she coldly responds with the village chief is gone now. Seeing Himmel draw a sword, she doesn't seem to understand what she's done wrong. She just knows she made a mistake. Himmel attacks and Frieren goes in for the final blow. Then the demon child says "mother" again. Frieren then explains that demons don't even raise their own young. They are creatures of solitude by nature, so why does she say mom? The demon replies, because it stops you from killing us. Take a look at this dialogue between Line and Lugner. This takes place right after they convince Graf that Lugner lost his father just like he had lost his son. Lord Lugner, what is a father? Who knows? This is a very complex form of pattern recognition. Neither Line, Lugner, nor the demon child knew what a father or a mother was. The very concept of family is foreign to demons, but they've learned that saying those words in specific patterns with other phrases causes humans to hesitate or even be fully deceived. The demons are capable of speech, but they are not capable of communication with humans. That's because the way demons communicate is with mana. Kind of like a pack of animals with a leader. Their social hierarchies are based on shows of strength. When Frieren was still young and rescued by Flamme, she taught Frieren to suppress her mana to trick demons into underestimating her. Years later, Frieren questions Flamme. If demons are cunning, why don't they hide their mana all the time as well? Flamme explains that in the case of humans, their importance is determined by status and wealth. It's hard to tell which humans are important, so they dress themselves up to make it look obvious. Frieren asks if demons are different, which Flamme answers, demons have not changed since they were monsters. Might makes right. It's far easier to understand than humans. You can tell who is strong just by looking at them. To a demon, mana is what status and wealth are to humans. On some occasions, demons might suppress their mana for the sake of stealth, as we see when they try to ambush Flamme and Frieren. But no demon would be foolish enough to suppress their mana for a lifetime. It's the difference between a noble sneaking into town incognito versus that same noble debasing themselves by abandoning their status and wealth entirely. Demons are desperate to show off their mana to the point that suppressing it doesn't even occur to them. When Fern beats Lugnar, and he learns the truth of Fern's and Frieren's mana suppression, he says that they are a disgrace to the title of mage. And Aura tells Frieren, "Are you stupid? Why would you do something so pointless? Suppressing your mana is a technique that would take a lifetime to master. That's why Aura sees it as pointless, when instead you could have spent that time training to become stronger instead of suppressing your mana." That all being said, I still don't believe that the demons in Frieren are evil. In writing, one of the first things you learn is there are 7 types of conflict: person versus self, destiny, society, nature, technology, person, and the unknown. Most monster movies narrow down onto that person versus the unknown. And in all these movies, there's, generally speaking, an assumed malice. These monsters don't just exist, they go out of their way to pursue our heroes and endanger their safety. It's the general human inclination to fear the unknown. We're not afraid of the dark, we're scared what's hiding in it that we can't see. The inclination to fear malice in the unknown is actually the premise of the Dark Forest theory. Take the movie Castaway. It's a guy stranded on an island. There's no assumed malice, just existence. This is a cause of nature. I believe that the demons in Frieren represent nature rather than the unknown. Looking back at the example of the demon child, and all the demons from before, none of them seem to act out of a place of malice. The demon child doesn't understand the concept of family. She didn't understand what she did wrong, she just wanted to appease the humans who wanted to kill her. Every action a demon does can be traced to 2 major interests. 1. Demons eat humans. 2. The urge to self-preserve. If we don't assume that demons are the unknown and remove the assumed malice and implication, in that case humans and demons must both act out of self-preservation. It's not evil for humans to act in self-defense or for the demons to sustain themselves. They're simply at odds with one another because of their natural and biological needs. Demons are creatures of ego and coldness, disconnected with things we would normally define as human. But they aren't human. Not being human doesn't make you evil. I think this is a really interesting subversion of the normal evil demon. Suddenly, the story isn't about good versus evil at all. It's about survival and misunderstanding. And that shift lets us see monsters, and maybe even ourselves, in a very different light.